Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Welcome. Thank you for logging on today and for everyone who's registered. I'm Kelly Ripple, co-founder of Kansans for Hemp, and I'm truly glad that
Mm.
we're hosting this today. It's a very timely topic. Before we begin just a few quick notes on some logistics. We will send out the recording to this conference after it concludes. So keep an eye out for that, and share with other prospective farmers or hemp adjacent professionals who might be interested to know about the current status of hemp, either the grain and fiber side, especially in Kansas, or the Midwest across the country. Feel free to share on social media too. So, before we get into things today, I know many are wondering, what might happen with hemp given the congressional bill of reopening the government did include some strict language that we know about that could negatively impact current situations for a lot of populations. So while it is uncertain how bill language is going to be, interpreted, administered, we want to remain focused. And it is worth reiterating that as a protected commodity in the United States, agricultural hemp, um, those products that are from biomass and cannabinoids, they should be regulated. And we've actually collectively been proposing bills with the legislature to do that since hemp was reintroduced in 2019. So rest assured, those efforts are going to continue. Um, we know the initiative to regulate cannabis and update laws on the national level will pick up. So, feel free to reach out, ask any questions about that. But on to now why we are here today, which is to celebrate and
Mhm.
support each other and share some really realistic but visionary and exciting information. So, uh, despite ongoing adversities, Kansas has something truly exciting going on today, right here. There are three agricultural hemp processors. Plus, we have a genetics company that is developing hemp grain and fiber varieties that are regionally adapted. This conference, it's here to highlight something really incredible momentum. It's been building in Kansas for agricultural hemp, but for the information, it's applicable, across the Midwest, and it does represent, I think, the real nationwide hub of hemp activity that's developing here. So all of the hemp speakers are very well respected in the industry and across the country. Today, you're going to hear from Melissa Nelson with South Bend Industrial Hemp, Zach Gill, which you see pictured there with Prairie Band Ag, and Sarah Stevens with Midwest Hemp Technology. Each of these three processors, they represent, um, you know, they're going to share their updates with you about farming, processing the crop into grain, fiber, the herd, all at different levels. And what's exciting is they are leading the way in meeting new consumer and industrial market demands that are really starting to grow. So let's see here. And in addition to that, there are also some exciting developments in seed genetics and new markets that are opening up. And we have Rochelle Bowman of AST and at Astra Seed Company, who's going to provide an update on the regionally adapted certified variety that she and her husband Brent have been breeding. They've also been trialing with universities across the country and now scaling for commercial production. So, all very exciting accomplishments. Um, Again, we appreciate everyone involved for bringing this event together. And hope that the time is valuable. And again, please feel free to leave questions in the chat. We are monitoring it, so we'll share questions and speakers with the conclusion of their presentations. And then also, please feel free to post about things either on social media or share the conference recordings afterwards. So, Dr. Tim Dossie from Pittsburgh State University, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him. National Institute for Material Advancements for official welcome on behalf of the university and our sponsor today. The Small Business Development Center at PSU. We thank you so much for helping host this. Dr. Dossie is the executive director of NEMA, and received his PhD in polymer chemistry from the University of Southern Mississippi. He has more than 40 years of experience in polymers and plastics, from research in new polymers to developments to plastics processing and business applications. And under Dr. Dossey's leadership, NEMA is partnering with polymer producers, packaging manufacturers, and leading polymer research institutes to provide solutions in challenges in current agricultural plastic usage, as well as discovering all the new opportunities where biomaterials may provide relief to daily obstacles in farming and ranching. So welcome, Dr. Dawson.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for that introduction. And hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm definitely excited to be here, happy and honored for the opportunity to welcome all the attendees and the speakers, participants here in the 6th annual Kansas Hemp Conference. And I appreciate efforts like Kelly and Sarah for what you guys have done putting this together. But it's also a great honor for me to extend a sincere and very grateful welcome to our thank you to our sponsor, the Small Business Development Center, as Kelly was saying, here at Pitt State University, and a special thank you to Mindy Lee for producing today's webinar. The SBDC plays an indispensable role in strengthening Kansas' overall economy by providing this essential guidance to entrepreneurs, from the startup planning to secure funding in there. And we really encourage you all to connect with their team today if you haven't already. And, you know, I can't see everyone out there. I think I probably know a lot of you. A lot of you know me, but if not, I look forward to meeting you and getting into further discussions around what we've got going on here. And particularly, I want to thank each of you for taking your time to participate today. The work many or most of you are engaged in producing this quality hemp fiber, basically that starts this whole supply chain, is truly foundational to our future success. Yes, there's still a lot of hurdles to get over along the way, but I look forward to really some insightful discussions today and collaborative opportunities that'll further advance the innovative growth of hemp materials and products across the region and across the nation. So at NEMA, for those of you who are not familiar with the National Institute of Materials Advancement, we're focused on maximizing the potential of agricultural raw materials. And in that sense, we're working to expand the conversations from selling agricultural volume to creating and producing advanced high-value components. So scientists at NEMA and innovators across the country are right now investigating the many opportunities to transition raw hemp fiber into durable advanced composites, materials that traditionally rely on fiberglass and petroleum-based resins and so forth. Let me give you an example, and I know some of you have heard me talk about this, but just think about it. Did you know in the United States alone, every year, there's 1 million miles of plastic trimmer line, mostly made from nylon, that's dispersed into our lawns and our waterways as microplastics. Now let's play with that number just a minute. I mean, just bear with a lot of assumptions here on material density and et cetera, et cetera. And let's say for argument, we'll use 900 pounds per acre of yield. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's say, all right, so you divide by 4, I'll carry the 1. That's an annual demand of over 13,000 acres of industrial grade hemp just for this one little application that we all take for granted in our everyday lives. Seriously, I mean, what a compelling future. And the reason for the future is possible because Kansas has already established, as Kelly mentioned, a critical integrated infrastructure. We have the regionality adapted genetics, growing a strong network of operational process facilities that positions us to be a national leader in fiber. So I truly believe the potential for Kansas hemp is immense. You are literally planting the seeds for the next generation of sustainable manufacturing, where your locally grown hemp fibers will be the core structural reinforcement for materials like lightweight infrastructure, construction, consumer goods, maybe even weed trimmer line. And importantly, this allows us to diversify the state economy by keeping more of the technology-based manufacturing right here in Kansas. So at NEMA, we're committed to helping Kansas company and entrepreneurs build bridges from the field to the factory. So I'm excited to be on this journey with you guys. And I just want to say thank you. And I'm going to turn it back over to Kelly to kick off the first panel.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Dossi. You've really done a lot to elevate this conversation around hemp-based biomaterials in Kansas. So we really appreciate it. Looking forward to collaborating more. Thank you for seeing the potential in producing these hemp crops too, and manufacturing with these products here in the Heartland. As you all well know, that's how we're going to build this strong circular economy. That's how so we greatly appreciate your ongoing advocacy and research, communicating about this. So I'm delighted to guide everyone into what I believe one of the most critical conversations of today. We've got the processors panel. We hear all the time about, the incredible potential of industrial hemp and all the products it can make. The potential, can mean nothing unless we can efficiently transform raw biomass into these valuable market ready products. And like Dr. Dossi, it goes clear back to the seed, which we'll get to. But these processors are absolutely critical for the infrastructure. These are the engineers who turn a harvested field into the fiber, herd, and high protein oil seeds. But beyond raw materials, they are developing hemp-based products that then meet the industry and consumer demands. They're putting forth so much risk. They face the complex challenges of scaling up on-farm production and connecting the supply chain and being that component where new markets are developing. They are navigating significant capital expenditures and regulatory hurdles that, they come with high volume manufacturing. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce the panel here. So this session is going to feature 3 experts who are truly leading the way in building out this essential supply chain, discussing everything from agronomic practices to exciting market developments. They are here to share their strategies for success and provide a clear outlook on what Kansas is doing to become a processing powerhouse for both the grain and seed and fiber markets. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our distinguished panelists for today. We have Melissa Nelson with South Bend Industrial Hemp, Zach Gill with Prairie Band Ag, and Sarah Stevens with Midwest Hemp Technology. We are going to hear from Melissa first, and then, as mentioned earlier, you're welcome to ask any questions in the chat. We'll have Q&A after the panelists, and with that, I'll turn it over to Melissa.
All right. Well, thank you so much for asking me to be here. Hemp is in some exciting times. We are seeing some really rapid growth. And I love what Kelly said when he introduced us on, we're the boots on the ground. We're the people that are connecting the farmers to the processors and the processors to final products. I think one of the biggest questions that I have at this point is they've seen us operate, they've seen our social media, and they're like, how real is this industry? We're hearing a lot of chatter. We're hearing that this is growth, but what does that look like? And so just to kind of give you guys some hard numbers, because I'm a numbers person, we contracted 3,500 acres this past year in 2025. Based upon those acres and the yields that have been turned into us, we will have around 1,000 semis moving hemp to processing facilities that we are helping supply. So to help make that into a more manageable number, as of last Friday, when I do my invoicing and billing for everybody, we have done 105 semi-loads. So we are 10% of where we are projected to be at the end of the month or at the end of the season on moving all of the product, and which is equivalent to just shy of 3 million pounds of hemp. Okay. So 10 times that, and we're looking at producing just shy of 30 million pounds with our growers this year. Here's the most important part of that piece. We have paid out over $500,000 to our growers, $506,431. They get paid by the ton. So to me, that speaks volumes. You've heard the black eyes in the past of farmers not getting paid. No, we love seeing checks go out the door. We love seeing it hit the bank accounts and our farmers returning and wanting to grow more acres. And in saying that, our goal in 2026 is 10,000 acres. We've got the green light to contract up to or much over 10,000 acres because we're working with other processing facilities to help supply that, as well as our own processing facility here in Great Bend. So we are love seeing the economic development and the job growth that we have through our certified apprenticeship program at our processing facility. Will is about ready to complete his apprenticeship. And so then we will bring on another apprentice so we can continue growing our team. But I love the numbers. I love the amount of product that we're pushing out through our processing facility, and also the number of acres that we are allowing farmers to get in, diversify their operation, have a better ROI. I mean, I did a video on our social media the other day. Most of our farmers are looking anywhere from $550 to $650 per acre profit. And if you are unfamiliar with the corn and bean space, this is probably 3 times higher than what you're going to see on the conventional crops that are grown here in Kansas. So these farmers that are getting in at this time and trying and building with us are reaping those rewards. And so we love to see it.
Those are great numbers. Thank you so much for sharing that information, Melissa. There are, gosh, I have multiple questions that I could ask, but let me go to the Q&A here. Let's see here. Q&A. Yes, some of the things are, yeah, we will share this afterwards. So I'm interested, now your partners, Melissa, when you're shipping out these semis, they're going all over the Midwest, all over.
So we are working directly with Panda Biotech down in Wichita Falls, Texas. And for full transparency, we have the green light to contract up to 20,000 acres here in Kansas. I was telling the panel before we got started, it is exciting to hear that Kansas is the premium place to grow this crop. In terms of fiber quality, in terms of production numbers, and like we're doing it. We are some of the best quality of product that is coming out of the Midwest that are producing on large scale. And so farmers should be very, very proud of that. We love promoting that we have some of the best in the industry because farmers are very, very good at what they do. They just needed a good foundation to make it happen and a place to sell it.
Absolutely. There's a question here. Those semis are for fiber or grain also. And if I'm correct, those are bales of fiber?
Yes. So we just grow for fiber production. We do not do any grain.
Okay. Question here from Lauren. What is the minimum acreage scale for this to be a profitable crop? Like what's an example of your smallest farm?
10 acres. This is extremely important. You need to understand the risk assessment of your operation. Some people, it's 10 acres. And if I tell farmers, if you have a total loss and you just have an absolute train wreck of a year, which we're going to set you up to not do that, but Mother Nature will do what Mother Nature does. So if you have truly a train wreck, what will keep your doors open and your business operational for the following year? Some farmers, it's 100 acres. They're very comfortable in that space. Some farmers, it's 10. I guess our best success story is we had a farmer that started with our first year in 2021, and he did 5 acres. And then the next year he did 10 acres, and then he did 50, and now he does 500. And next year he's doing 1,500. So you want to grow as you feel more comfortable.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, let me see here. I don't see any more questions. Is there, I could think of so many things, and I'm sure there will be more later. Are there any other uh, burning like topics that you would like to share with us before I move on?
Just if you're looking to get into the industry, find some processors that are paying out. Talk to the other farmers that are growing for them, to make sure that you've got a place for your product. And if you have any questions about the growing season or what our crops look like, go to our Facebook or Instagram, South Bend Industrial Hemp or South Bend Hemp. We are very transparent through the process, on pros and cons, how we do things, and how our growers are becoming successful.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure we'll be back. I will go ahead and move on to Zach Gill, who is with Prairie Band Ag. And let me see here. Zach, are you with us?
Yes, Kelly, I am.
All right. I'll go ahead and pass it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So excellent. Do we have slides by chance?
I believe we
Mindy,
do.
were you able to open Zach's slides?
Let me take a look.
I just forwarded them to you. If not, Zach, he might be able to share his screen, but
Yeah, let me,
There's a secure link. I can't open it on my end.
okay. How about letting him share his screen?
Yeah, he should be able to share.
Sorry to throw the curveball on you there, Zach.
oh no, you're good. Can you guys see that?
We can, yeah.
Awesome.
It might help to go into full presentation mode, but I think we can see it.
Okay, well, let's one second. Okay. So hello everybody, my name is Zach Gill and I'm with Prairie Band Ag, a tribally owned agricultural business that is at the intersection of sustainability, innovation, and community empowerment. So my presentation today is more of a business overview. It's a look into how a native-led company is building economic independence and environmental resilience through regenerative agriculture and, of course, industrial hemp. Our motto, growing our future from the ground up. It speaks to our core beliefs that real transformation begins with how we care for the land and invest in our people. So who we are, Prairie Band Ag is located in Northeast Kansas. We operate under Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation's economic development entity, Prairie Band LLC. Our company was created with a bold goal to revitalize native controlled agriculture in a way that blends with traditional knowledge and modern sustainability practices. We are more than just producers. We are land stewards, educators, innovators, committed to rebuilding tribal economies by working in harmony with the environment. Our model seeks to break cycles of extractive agriculture and replace them with practices that nurture the soil, sustain tribal communities, and drive systematic change. Our mission is threefold. It guides every decision we make. Number one, sovereignty. We aim to reclaim and manage our lands, our production, and our economy. Sovereignty in agriculture means people are in control of the value chain, from planting to processing to distribution. 2, environmental and soil health. We practice regenerative agriculture, not just to sustain the land, but in an attempt to heal it. We're reversing decades of soil degradation with practices that restore microbial life, prevent erosion, and store carbon. Economic opportunity. We're not waiting for economic help from the outside. We're creating opportunity from within by building native-led businesses that offer living wage jobs, entrepreneurships, and educational pipelines for youth. Everything we do serves both our environmental values and our economic vision. So our core operations here. The core operations give us the flexibility to serve both traditional and emerging markets. So row crops, corn and soybean. Most people are familiar with that in Kansas. These provide income stability and allow us to manage larger acreage with rotational planting for soil health. Specialty crops, of course, industrial hemp. Hemp is one of the most sustainable crops. It requires fewer pesticides, enriches the soil, and has diverse commercial uses. Our focus at Prairie Band Ag is fiber and herd applications. With product development, number 3, this is where we unlock the real economic power of hemp. By adding value to the source, we don't just grow hemp. We turn it into products like biodegradable straws and oil and chemical absorbent that meet the modern sustainability needs that we're seeing. These operations create a circular regenerative model that benefits our land, people, and business. So, regenerative agriculture initiatives. Regenerative agriculture is not just a farming method, it's a philosophy. It focuses on restoring the health and vitality of the ecosystem when done right. Our regenerative strategies include cover crops. These protect the topsoil, fix nitrogen, and boost the biodiversity. The no-till practices, instead of plowing and disrupting the soil biology, we leave the soil intact, increasing water retention and reducing the soil erosion. Crop rotation. We rotate between crops like corn and soybean and hemp to help balance the nutrient, break up pest cycles, and promote soil fertility. Regenerative ag isn't just good for the environment. It also increases long-term yields and reduces input costs when, again, done right. So onto the hemp farming, the main objective here. Industrial hemp offers a powerful opportunity for a new kind of rural economy, one that is environmentally sustainable, economically viable, and tribally controlled. We farm hemp with a purpose. We select high-performing varieties that grow well in the Kansas soil. We use hemp-specific harvesting and decortication equipment to help process our stalks into usable fiber and herd. Our production model is built around fair trade and quality assurance, using a grading system to ensure each contracted farmer is compensated for the quality that they bring to the table. Hemp farming gives us a product with endless potential: textiles, insulation, bioplastics, animal bedding, and biodegradable straws. So with our hemp operations, Hemp is the raw material, but our true innovation lies within how we process it and develop our products. Our flagship line is Nokiwan, which is a Potawatomi word for good earth. We use our on-reservation processing facilities to ensure that economic value stays within the tribal economy. Jobs are created locally, and the entire production chain reflects tribal values and sovereignty. Our products include biodegradable straws and cutlery, a sustainable non-toxic alternative to plastic or paper. And then our Nokiwan spill absorption for oil and chemical remediation, ideal for environmental agencies, utilities, and industrial applications. These products are real solutions. So Nokiwan spill absorption. Our hemp-based absorption is a game changer for environmental response. It is an all-natural, no synthetic chemical or binders, highly absorbent, outperforms traditional clay absorptions, and eco-friendly. It's safe to use around water, wildlife, and food processing areas. We target customers like emergency response teams, municipalities, utility companies, and industrial operations. We see this as a critical infrastructure product for companies looking to reduce their carbon footprint and improve sustainability practices. So our Nokiwan drinking straws and cutlery. The straws and cutlery are one of the most promising and market-ready consumer products we have available today. Why they matter? The world has moved away from single-use plastics. Our products meet that need. I don't know about a lot of people, but paper straws suck. They degrade quickly. Ours are durable, clean tasting, and hold up in drinks for hours. Many compostable plastics that claim compostability also leave microplastics in the soils. Ours do not. Our target markets for those are restaurants, cafes that want to go plastic free, event organizers with a sustainability goal, hospitality, and ecotourism operations. These products allow customers to showcase their value while offering a superior product. Plus, they're made from hemp grown by a native nation using regenerative methods. It's a story that helps sells itself. Community and economic impact. Our success is shared success. We are building an economy that lifts the whole community. And the key impact areas are job creation, not just seasonal work, but long-term skilled jobs in processing, operations, logistics, and innovation. Youth engagement. We're training the next generation of native-led agriculturalists through internships and educational partnerships. Revenue reinvestment. Profits go back into the community services, housing, and education, along with the tribal infrastructure. Support for other native and local producers. We offer contract growing, shared equipment access, and market development support. This isn't just a business, it's a cultural and economic revitalization strategy. Our strategic vision. Looking ahead, our vision includes scaling our regenerative model to other native nations and small communities, building a fully integrated hemp value chain that includes not only the straws, absorption, and cutlery, but also packaging, textiles, and building materials. Becoming a thought leader in native-led sustainable agriculture, sharing our model at conferences, with policymakers, and through educational institutions. We aim to be a national and global example. of how tribal-led leadership and environmental innovation can create lasting change. And of course, thank you, for giving me your time and interest. We're eager to collaborate with investors, partners, food service providers, government agencies, and fellow producers. Prairie Band Ag isn't just a farm, it's a movement, a vision for what we see as possible when we honor the land, empower communities, and innovate with purpose. Let's build the future together with hemp as the bellwether of resilience, sovereignty, and sustainability.
Indeed. Yes. Thank you so much, Zach.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. It's been amazing to watch you all grow. It's pretty incredible. It's inspiring. So thank you again. Congrats on all of the forward movement. I don't necessarily see any new questions. There was a question that came up, and because you mentioned the contract growing. So say, for example, a farmer has like 56 acres, they want to plant next year. Would they be able to contract with you to grow?
Yeah, of course. Being on the state side, they would have to go through the proper channels. We can't license them unless if they grow within the borders of the reservation. But yeah, we're willing and able to work with anybody that within about 150 miles of our facility.
Awesome. And that facility, again, it is near Holton, correct? It's
Yes.
north of Topeka.
Yep.
Northeast
Topeka.
Kansas.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, folks, again, thank you so much, Zach, for sharing that information. And again, everyone, just feel free to reach out to them. I will go ahead and move on now to Sarah. We've got the last processor with Midwest Hemp Technology. Sarah, I will go ahead and pass it over to you if you're ready.
I'm ready. I think I should have some slides that Mindy can pull over. And I'll just start talking. Holler at me because I'm changing my screens if I need to do something. So thank you, Kelly. My name's Sarah Stevens, as Kelly mentioned, and I'm here on behalf of the Kansas Hemp Consortium and Midwest Hemp Technology. Midwest Hemp Tech is centrally located in Augusta, Kansas, and we were founded in 2021. I have been a licensed grower since 2019, the first year that you could grow. And through the Kansas Hemp Consortium, we started researching hemp grain production back in 2021 and 22. And we had SARE grants at that time. And we used those to grow grain production fields around the state and then compare results in different geographic areas with weather and soil differences and also differences in genetics. So we've been working on narrowing in on the grain side ever since that time. And that's in a contrast with South Bend and Prairie Band Ag, who are focused on fiber production. Nearly everything about our process is just a little bit different. We do still buy fiber from grain farmers in our network if they produce it, but we prioritize the grain production in everything from the genetics we use to the planting recommendations and very specifically the harvest. The hemp grain dominant plants that we grow are from New West Genetics. That's our seed supplier. They're around 6 feet tall and they need to be harvested with a combine. Midwest Hemp Tech from there provides essential infrastructure to hemp grain farmers. The moment that the hemp grain leaves the field, it needs professional, high quality post-harvest handling. Our facility is dedicated to hemp grain drying and cleaning. Our process ensures the preservation and nutritional integrity of the grain and meets the stringent quality specs required by food and feed manufacturers. We ensure the crop is dried to the correct moisture level to prevent spoilage and clean to remove unnecessary foreign matter. This is important because a clean, stable product is the only product that can secure a high value market. We work to clear that final hurdle so that the grain farmers produce is immediately ready for high protein oilseed applications. We also provide field support. So our relationships with the grower extends way beyond just our facility here in Augusta. We're committed to ensuring success from the field prep to seed all the way to sale. We provide comprehensive resources and recommendations that cover planting best practices, optimized crop care, and harvesting equipment. We believe in collaborative excellence, and to that end, partner with New West Genetics as our seed supplier. This collaboration gives our growers top-tier genetics, proven genetics, and means that we have an agronomist on call to visit fields and also to take video calls and answer questions throughout the season. This technical expertise is very, very valuable. It's like having a hemp PhD. They are PhDs available to troubleshoot any challenge in the field, and that helps to ensure maximum yield and quality. Probably the single most important service we offer to the growers is the purchase contract. We don't just process the grain, we provide a firm, reliable purchase contract, giving farmers market certainty before they plant the seeds. This mitigates the investment risk for farmers. And then we handle the hemp grain marketing. As the processors, we have direct connections to industrial food and feed markets. We take on the responsibility of finding the best price and application for the grain, allowing farmers to focus on farming. Also, a lot of the grain that we produce goes back into our own product line, the Hempy's Heart product line. This line demonstrates the incredible versatility of the grain that we process. I have some of the products right back here behind me. We have the hemp seed snacks for feathered friends. This taps into the premium pet and food and feed market. We also sell the hemp grains in 25-pound bags for feed. From there, the hemp grains that we grow are turned into hemp seed oil and high protein powder, high quality protein powder. And we are not pressing the protein powder ourselves, but our grains are going into that. And then we're packaging them in the Hempy's Heart brand name. If you're not familiar with the nutritional power of hemp grain, I would really encourage you to start learning about how to make it part of your daily diet and routine. It's highly priced for its nutrition. Consumers that are seeking plant-based sustainable protein, it's a high demand product for clean quality protein. And it fits pretty well into the fast growing food and feed segments. So if you are interested in growing hemp grain, we would love to talk with you. We are contracting acres for 2026, and we really do try to bring to the table the quality processing that you can count on, field support, and access to high value markets. And we're happy to be growing again in 2026. That'll be our 8th growing season. And if you're interested in knowing more about that, there's a lot of resources that we can help you with throughout the season, and just starts with a phone call or an email message. So feel free to reach out and be happy to talk more. Also, if you're looking for hemp grain, we can help you with that. So farmers and market industry representatives, give us a call, and I appreciate everybody's time today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sarah. So I will go ahead and move us into the Q&A. Thank you all for talking about your own operations and some successes that you've had. It looks like there are a few questions. This one looks like for Zach. So how does the operation with Prairie Band Ag, how would that maybe extend to other large land-based tribes? You said that you partner with other tribes as well in other states too, is that correct?
Yeah, so we'll definitely partner with other tribes, and we have that open communication line with a few others, amongst the United States. And it's a collaboration with knowledge and tribal-led leadership, so to speak. So it's basically around the idea of a hemp plan within the tribal borders. I think that's a basic starting point with a lot of tribes. They're interested in that, and of course the products. So it starts with the hemp plan and then moves on with what they want to do and what they want to create.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And it definitely starts with the seed too. So let's see, there's another question in here about we'll need help with licensing. I'm going to provide some info there. So in Kansas, and Zach mentioned this earlier, but if you're not affiliated with a tribal organization and you're a Kansas farmer, our program is through the USDA. And so that's where you would go to get license to become a hemp farmer? Let me see here. What are some other questions? So each of you, I know each of you can share so much about this, but what do you see, I guess, as being some of the barriers that are in the way of market developments? I mean, we've talked about in the past like adoption for farmers. And we're seeing some acres increase over time now, but what do each of you see as being kind of a linchpin in or bottleneck rather, as far as who needs to be educated now? So now we know that there's a demand, and we know that there are some manufacturers using these, but do you feel like there needs to be more manufacturer adoption in addition to farmer adoption, kind of simultaneously? So what are all your thoughts on that?
I think you are trying to slowly creep up demand and supply at the same time, and not let one get too far out of balance from the other. And it does require a lot of education on both sides. We talked to a lot of people that are R&Ding with hemp fibers for different plastic replacement applications, but a big paper towel manufacturer, they don't just switch over their process to include hemp without quite a bit of study of the supply chain and how much is available versus what would it take to implement it. And I just see a lot of that, like corporations trying to incorporate hemp, but looking at the supply and is it adequate and is it secure and is it going to be there in the long term that I can truly implement it and count on that for the future. And then trying to demonstrate to those companies, yes, we're here, we're growing, we're securing more acres, and we really need you to move from R&D to full-scale production while we secure those acres on the other end. It's a careful balance.
Oh, I 100% agree with Sarah. And a lot of these companies don't realize they need to be thinking 2 to 3 years out, because we can't just magically make this crop grow. Like we need 100 days to grow this crop, or however long that variety is for that processing facility. And so when they look and see that there's limited supply, well, that's because you're looking at the previous year's numbers. Like if you're looking at moving out of R&D, you need to be already having a conversation about 2027. Like farmers are always thinking crop rotations 2, 3, 4 years out. And so, yeah, you've got to be thinking very long term.
And yeah,
And I think,
oh, go ahead, Kelly.
yeah, no, go for it, Zach.
And I agree with both Sarah and Melissa. It's kind of on our shoulders now as processors to prove that the supply chain is there and it's going to be lasting, I think. So.
Hey, I
Yes.
think, that, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Rochelle, go for it.
I think, some federal incentives for manufacturing would be amazing. Moving in more of a direction of infrastructure that's more familiar to farmers as corn and soybeans, I think would be a really helpful in the big picture.
Absolutely. And we'll get to this a little bit later here. And it's interesting how, when you look at the hemp laws, and of course this will all, maybe not all change, but some of it may change, given what was just signed. But when you look at the regulations federally under USDA, it does ultimately cut out the middle person. I mean, in order to be protected under crop insurance, for example, you have to have successful harvest of hemp for at least a year, and then you can start getting coverage. But you definitely, and of course this is a best practice, but you need to have that contract in place. If you're going to plant hemp, you need to have a contract in place with a processor, and that takes out the co-op model. I mean, all Kansas row crop farmers are used to going to they take their harvested yield to the co-op. But I think there are some kind of opportunities, and we'll talk about this here in a little bit. But I think it's good for us to be thinking about all of this in multiple ways. And so I can't thank you all enough for each of your perspectives on this. real quick, there is a question here from Thomas. Are there any USDA organic processors? And I'm guessing that has to do with organic for seed, or for grain rather, because you wouldn't have organic, I don't think, for fiber, but
You can
I
have
think
organic. Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead, sir.
Go ahead. It could be done, right?
So for the fiber, you can be certified organic, and we have farmers that are certified organic, but there's no premium because there is such a short supply of this that it's already kind of a premium product. And so there's no advantage for being certified organic at this time for the fiber side.
that makes sense. Thank you for that.
On the grain side, where our facility's not certified organic, I've looked into it. But at this point, we wouldn't be able to maintain that certification from the field to the processing facility. And I'm not familiar with any grain processing that is organic in the country. That doesn't mean it's not happening, but not that I know of.
Okay, and this kind of goes back to what the great work that Dr. Dossie's doing with NEMA, and I know that ASTM and NIST are developing hemp standards for a lot of these end use products and the processes to get them there. So there's a lot in the works with regards to that. Sarah, one other quick question from James: do you press oil on site?
No, we don't.
Okay.
I did want to, I don't know if Dr. Dossie is on, but Kevin Mills had some questions about biopolymers that he might be the only one that can address.
I'm here, Sarah. So
Okay. Can you see that question, Kelly?
I think the question, I believe, was from Kevin, right? I think
Yeah, and he's with BioKansas.
he just threw that in there to put me on the spot. But no, thanks for the question, Kevin. It's the opportunities in the world of biopolymers are really using hemp oils are wide open. I don't know if you even recall, Sarah, but we made some rigid foam from some hemp oil quite a while back, and that's the type of product that could be used in construction as far as rigid foams for thermal insulation in facilities. So you could use these materials pretty much anywhere you're using current products, and even as complementary. They don't have to come in as competitive to the existing products, because we're still in the early stages of biopolymer development. We're now, rather than saying, oh, I'm gonna make this from soybean oil, which we continue to do a lot of, we'd say, you know what, if I had 10% of hemp oil, or 20% of linseed oil, now you start formulations in this where you're using the properties on here to build on each other. And I think that's critical. So you can think of these materials going into adhesives, into coatings, into elastomers. And virtually any field you've got out there, I could tell you how we could get into that avenue. So whether you're in the automotive industry, aviation, medical, whatever, all of those industries are approachable with the oils in this. So, like I said, my talking earlier was mostly focused on the fiber aspect of it, but there can be the combination of those where you're using the oils to make the matrix materials that you're embedding the fibers in. It's wide open to the innovators, really.
It is, and I will just mention to that point, Green Dot Bioplastics is one of the companies that is working with Prairie Band Ag with their products, and they have told me before that there just isn't enough hemp being grown in the U.S. to supply their need, and as others have said, I mean, it's the market's here, the adoption's here, so it's time to make those connections happen. So thank you again, Dr. Dossie. We are just a little bit behind, but I do want to ask this last question for our processors. Should farmers interested in growing grain and fiber varieties reach out to you directly for more info, or do you have other events that they could be invited to, or how can they get in contact with you?
I'll go first. So we have our growers meeting on the second Saturday in January here in Great Bend. If you are someone that wants to come in person, and we do a very nuts and bolts type workshop from seed to final sale. and what that looks like, or you can reach out to us at southbendhemp@gmail.com. We can jump on a phone call, or I can send you kind of a slideshow of what our contracts look like and how we do what we do.
Thanks, Melissa. Sarah, you want to go?
Yeah, definitely email, give me a call or message. We're on social media under Midwest Hemp Tech and also Hempy's Heart. We are contracting grain production acres for next year and happy to talk with farmers anytime.
Awesome. And Zach?
Yeah, and likewise, if you want to reach out directly. And more so, if you want to come see the facility and how it runs and, get kind of a hands-on application that way, we love to open out our doors and see people come in and see something that they haven't seen before. So.
Very good. Thank you. And thank you again to that panel. This is a question for Rochelle and the panel as well. John McKee had a question if anyone has used the hemp crop insurance in Kansas yet. Just curious if any of you have.
Not yet.
Yes and no. You can actually, if you're a first-time grower, you don't qualify for federal crop insurance, but you can go through your local FSA office under the NAP program, NAP, and it's catastrophic insurance. It's on a per county basis up to X amount of acres. It's county dependent, and it's very, very affordable. So if that's something that's holding you back, you now have an alternative of the NAP program.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Okay. Well, I will go ahead and transition us into the genetics and other cultivation session that we've got here. So I'm very excited to introduce Rochelle Bowman. Before I get into AST Genetics and at Astra Seed Company, I want to allow you to talk a little bit, Rochelle, about your background. I know that you all had grown in produce, and I believe at one time you is it the largest aquaponics farm in North America? And just kind of curious how you all transitioned into hemp and what got you into that.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. I'm the director of breeding at AST Genetics. So it kind of all began, my son, he was born, he had a bunch of gut health issues. And so I kind of started looking into more of the organic food, natural health world. And a lot of this stuff just at that time was not readily available. So I got into aquaponics. It's a wonderful, sustainable way of growing certain things. I spent many years just breeding different varieties of leafy greens and produce that would work well within different various systems utilizing aquaponics. It was a wonderful thing. We've got to work with school systems, set some good stuff in place. But we just really felt like, in 2019, hemp is, it's a wonderful crop. It can do so many things, produce so many things. It's, big picture, it's great for the world, great for the US. So in 2019, when the pilot program rolled out, we decided to start focusing on fiber and grain genetics. So, we want to create genetics that meet our different climates, especially in the Midwest. We have a lot of extremes, droughts, rainy seasons, also THC requirements. I know that can be a very frightening thing to have to destroy your fields or work if your THC requirements are not met. Through our current genetics, you can go to astgenetics.com and see our different varieties we currently have. But through our years of growing and testing, we are always well below the limits. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of what got me into it.
That's excellent. Thank you. And I can attest to the low levels of THC because I've been fortunate and grateful to be able to test some of the crops there. So just congrats on all of the success that you all have had over the years. Um, just a little bit about AST genetics that I can glean from the website. I mean, you have produced an ayahuasca certified genetic, and
Yeah.
you have been seeking, the plant protection. These have come about through trials with universities, and um, over time, it's do you have any information that you can share about, what how it compares maybe to others? I know I'm kind of going off script here, but how does
Just other genetics.
yeah, what's the
Yeah,
benefit?
I think, yeah, yeah, our benefit, well, we have trialed at some different universities. Our genetics, they are very strong. They're very well adapted to the Midwest, in drought, in rainy seasons, with disease and pest control. The proof is in the pudding. The growth of our different genetics has just shown really strong. We have some that are more focused on grain, focused on fiber. We have a dual crop. There's definitely been lots of challenges through receiving, certifications and learning curves. I think one thing too is, germination rates and uniformity of your genetic is very important. So when if you're growing for fiber, you want uniformity to things receive the same sunlight and, conditions. Grains, same thing. And also in harvest, especially harvesting grain, you're going to want your crop uniform. Because like Sarah said, you combine it. And we have one grain variety that is it's about a 90-day growth period, and it stays around 5 to 7 feet tall, and very heavy yield grains, high proteins. And Brent is actually currently up finishing up our fiber genetic, and we've had some challenges, but things are going very well. There is, as a seed company and genetics company, it's been fun harvesting a wonderfully tall fiber crop for seed sales. So that's kind of been some of our learning this year. And let's see. Yeah, I think, did I answer your question?
It does. Now, so coming from a family farm, and your farm is just west of Topeka. I know you guys talk to farmers. Are you seeing an increase of interest in hemp production, or with any of the farmers that you're close to? What do you think it's going to take to kind of get them to go from just a few acres to these thousands of acres production scaled up that we're talking about?
Yeah, I think that farmers are very interested in an opportunity to grow something other than corn and soybeans. Melissa did a really good job at talking about the profit for farmers. That's a big thing. Farmers are super important to the U.S., to us. And I think, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, having a value add, especially for seed and grain. I mean, just the fact that, when you grow a soybean plant, you're just growing it for the beans out of those pods. That's it. But if you're growing like a dual crop, for example, and you're getting both the stalk and all the herd and the grain on top of that, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of an exponential opportunity there.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, there's even more than just the financial opportunity. There's the healing and restoration of the soil, the carbon work, there's so many aspects with what hemp can add to the US. And they're very much a desire. I think that they see some obstacles. I think, seeing items out in our market, just like Zach was talking about. And I do have a question if his products if just the general populace can get a hold And so education is important. The different aspects that a lot of these processors have with education and support and all of that, and we offer that with our seed sales too. I think all of those things are what will help farmers get there, and getting infrastructure that's closer to the corn and soybeans, where they do deliver products and all the details.
So that brings me to a good point here, and we've talked about this, and we alluded to it earlier. There's been a notion come up that co-ops really are kind of left out of at least the regulatory supply chain, or what's necessary for licensing and things like that. But as far as like the co-op model, we've had some discussion, you and Brent and I, and the notion is that there is a way for co-ops to get kind of their foot in the door. And so talk to me a little bit about this. Like it was mentioned that if co-ops, because of grain and seed requiring a much larger investment, that if a co-op has land and perhaps like wrapping equipment for bales, that could be a good foot in the door. Is that kind of what you all are thinking too?
Yes, I think that starting with bales and co-op relationship would be really good. It's a relationship farmers are used to, and I think it would give the opportunity for somebody that wanted to start small. They have a place to go take their crops. It would give them confidence to possibly do more, and I think that, as things grow, the convenience of even processors collecting stuff from one place could be a positive thing, and hopefully there's a need for all the above: delivery to processors, delivery to co-ops.
But having those staging areas, I do think could
Yeah.
be important, both for farmers, for the storage, because of contracts needing to be in place, and all of this, and the time frame. Maybe a processor doesn't need the material until a certain date. I mean, so I think there are some opportunities there that we could think about and work
And I think
through.
with farmers and doing things and this market growing in ways that are practical and familiar, I think would be awesome.
Absolutely. Let me see here. There are quite a few questions in the chat. One of them looks like, so have there been issues with hybrids with, the breeding program? And do you see a larger market for dual purpose varieties in the future?
I dual purpose, I think we'll kind of see how things go. I think that harvesting seeds off of a 15, 20 foot tall plant is rough. I think that, if you're working towards the dual crop, you're going to lose some of your fiber to be able to gain your grains. So I think that having the flexibility to dual crop or just grow fiber or grain is a nice benefit to farmers.
Absolutely. There was a question in the chat about your contact, so I went ahead and just dropped that in there. I hope that was okay, Rochelle.
Yeah, perfect.
Let me see here. Yeah, and I can also vouch for the fact that over time, the consistency within your genetic has really been demonstrated. I mean, like you had said, you want a pretty uniform field, and
Yeah.
from what I've seen over time, that has definitely been the case. So Let me see here if there's any other. There's a
I
question in there
think
from Melissa.
Andrea asked
Yeah.
if you would be willing or interested in registering the cultivars, your AST genetics in Canada.
If we would be willing to register?
Yeah, they can only import registered varieties.
Okay. I don't know. I have to think on that. And
Okay.
It's a big
But it's a
question.
possibility.
Mhm.
And it's timely because here we're talking about reopening the government, and of course we may be looking at some other things, but it's like the Canadian model is looking more and more like we just kind of need to go towards that route. But well, Rochelle, thank you so much for talking with us, and we will. I put your contact in the chat, but I'll put it into the or the Q&A, but I'll put it in the larger chat as well, so others can reach out to you. Thank you so much for your time
Appreciate it, Kelly.
today. All right. So we are also excited to have Braden Hoke, who is with the Kansas Department of Agriculture. And if he is able to provide a few updates from the hemp program, I will go ahead and pass it over to Braden. Braden, thanks for.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, thank you, Sarah and Kelly, for inviting me to present today on behalf of the Kansas Department of Agriculture. My name's Braden Hoke. I work in the Plant Protection Weed Control Program. Previously, I worked with issuing hemp licenses and administration of the hemp program and regulatory compliance and whatnot. So that's my background with hemp. So many familiar faces on the panel and seeing some names that are attendees today too. So I was going to just share my screen here before we get started. All right.
You had been sharing it. There we go. Thank you.
All righty. Yeah, so some other attendees that I'm looking, at names and whatnot may not be familiar with hemp in Kansas and whatnot. So we're going to start out pretty basic. So beginning this year, KDA transitioned its state hemp program to a federal program. So the reasons this was done was because the federal program offers some benefits for hemp growers as compared to the state program. And we'll get into that on the next slide. And then additionally, the state program wasn't necessarily self-sustaining due to fee collections and whatnot. So it was a trade-off, if the state program would continue, is raising fees the appropriate thing to do. And the decision that was made was to allow USDA to license hemp growers in Kansas. So USDA agreed to that. So under the USDA program, they meet the same requirements as what hemp growers under the state program did, because that state program was modeled after federal rule and law. So just some differences between the state program and the federal program. The duration of the licenses under the state program was just a year license, but under the federal program was 3 years. So that was a big benefit there. Additionally, the fees, there is no cost for a federal license as compared to the $1,300 license fee in Kansas, other than the background check required still for that federal license. There's still crop reporting elements and sampling and testing that's required. So like in years past, producers still report each planting no later than 30 days to their local FSA office. And then prior to harvest, they have to contract with official sampling agents to get testing done. So all of that is extremely similar, which had occurred under the state program. So there were some questions in the chat about how do you get a license. So you can get the USDA hemp grower license through an online application process. So the USDA's website is called the Hemp e-Management Platform. And if you do have additional questions about that, please reach out to USDA at farmbill.hemp@usda.gov, or the number there on the screen. So an important thing to note is that USDA only licenses hemp growers. They don't license processors or retail locations selling hemp-derived products. So before we move into acreage information, just going to have an overview about hemp production plans in the U.S. So we had Zach on here with Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation that talked about, some of their growing and processing. So any state, territory, or tribe, either that I guess has allowed hemp is under a USDA plan or a state, territory, or tribe plan. So Kansas is now one of 11 states that has a USDA hemp producer license. The remaining states have their own state programs. So a majority of the tribes and territories do operate under an approved USDA plan. So beginning in 2025, along with Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska also relinquished hemp programs to the USDA. So there's, currently now 11 states, and will be interesting to see, where that direction is headed in the future. So you've all seen this before. This is just a number of hemp grower licenses issued by year in Kansas. So again, from 2019 to 2024, those licenses were issued by the Kansas Department of Agriculture. So under the years of 2019 and 2020, these were primary licensees operating under the pilot program or research program, as Rochelle alluded to. And then from 2021 to 2024, that was under the commercial program. And then this year, there are 39 licenses issued by USDA in Kansas, but this does not include licenses issued for production on tribal land or any license issued by a tribe. And currently the two tribes that have approved plans are the Prairie Band of Potawatomi Nation and Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska. So Kelly provided in the chat earlier, where you can look for licenses. So you can look up someone to see, who may be a contact that's growing hemp that you could talk with. And USDA has a public search tool to do that. So you just use an advanced search by state and license status to find that information. So moving on to hemp acreage in Kansas. So these are the trends from back from 2019 during the pilot program. So this year there was just a little over 2,800 acres planted, which is about a 32% increase from last year. And this capture of 2,800 acres is USDA FSA data, where the data from 2019 to 2024 was all data that Kansas had captured under its hemp program. So the thing to note is that there will be continued updates for hemp acreage that will be occurring until January of next year, but the reporting's been delayed due to the government shutdown from October to November. So the data we're looking at isn't final because it's a capture from September. So looking more at 2025 data, this is a density or distribution map of planted acres of hemp in Kansas. So this figure 1 here. So the majority of hemp that was planted in the state is occurring in central Kansas or southwest Kansas. So some of the top producing counties include Kearney, Pratt, Russell, Barton, Rush, Haskell, and Stafford counties. So other hemp acreage data for this year, it's really interesting to look at hemp by end use. So a lot of today is dedicated towards, talking about fiber, seed and grain hemp. So a majority of the reported hemp acres to USDA this year have been for fiber hemp, which is almost 90%. So just 87% of fiber that was planted this year. So the remaining categories are floral hemp or for cannabidiol, seed, and grain. So other useful information that you can glean from this capture from USDA data is the difference on irrigation practice, so irrigated versus non-irrigated hemp, where about 2/3 of the hemp that was planted is irrigated as compared to the non-irrigated fields. So really depends on what part of the state you are and what you're growing for, and your best contacts, determining what's going to work for you is, talking, consulting with those that have been involved since hemp's been a thing in Kansas. So just this figure and table are just some more information about, precipitation. So the figure on the right is yearly precipitation totals for 2025 thus far. So this is really going, I think, through August. So when you're thinking about growing hemp, it's, what part of the state you're in and what are you growing for, where, peer review literature says anywhere between 20 inches to 30 inches of precipitation is needed for a fiber crop. So if you, aren't under irrigation and you're growing non-irrigated, water is certainly going to limit your yields. So if you look at some of these counties that had hemp planted in it under, non-irrigated conditions, from March to August, so the majority, that's, the growing season. These 3 counties here only received between 16 and about 19 inches of rain. So without precipitation, your yields are most likely going to be decreased if you did have adequate irrigation. So consult with the experts to determine what works for you. So table 7 here is just kind of a comparison between the last few slides. So end use by irrigation practice, where pretty much all the CBD or floral type hemp that was planted in Kansas is under irrigated conditions. So 99.5% of all acreage for CBD or floral was irrigated. For fiber, just about 2/3 of all planted fiber was under irrigated conditions as compared to 1/3 non-irrigated. And then since there wasn't much grain reported, we'll just skip over that there. But for seed, this was, I think, primarily planted up in Brown County. This may have been AST Genetics field. This was all under non-irrigated conditions. So that's, I guess, just a breakdown of the intended end use by irrigation practice. So, the more intensive type hemp crops for CBD or floral type hemp, you're really going to have to run irrigation as compared to, depending where you are in the state for fiber, grain, or seed. So moving past state acreage this year, we're going to take a look at in this table and figure hemp acreage nationwide for 2025. So in the table on the left, you have the top 10 hemp producing states from the September capture of USDA data. So Kansas ranked about 5th. These numbers, of course, will still change, so be interesting what comes in. But the largest state by land mass has the most hemp, and it's just really interesting. I mean, this slide doesn't show it, but to look at the changes of hemp acreage over the last 6 years is, there's some contrasting information. So if we just take a look at the density map, that's just showing pretty much where hemp was planted nationwide. So what this doesn't show, there's some hemp planted in Hawaii, but that's not on there. And then additionally, USDA data didn't show any hemp planted in Alaska, Wyoming, New Mexico, or Florida. So continue on nationwide acreage data for 2025. The majority of hemp that was planted was for fiber, so 46%, almost 47%. And then for CBD, or floral type hemp, grain, seed, and then sets are seedlings or clones. So in total, there was reported as of September, just a little over 43,000 acres. So in this table here, we have a comparison of hemp acres in Kansas versus nationwide. So on the y-axis on the left side, this is the value for nationwide acreage following the black trend line. And then on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, we have hemp acreage for Kansas. So Kansas didn't begin a program until 2019, so that's when data started being taken in. So that's why the trend line just kind of starts in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, this scale isn't, one-to-one for both trend lines, but Kansas has been consistently the last 3 years in the top 10 producing states for hemp. Alrighty, so we're going to move beyond what was planted and really talk about, I guess, what's been harvested. So this capture here is completely of Kansas data that KDA was given from licensees. So I don't believe we had updated the 2024 numbers until this year when reports were due to USDA. But from last year, about the 2,100 acres that were planted, just about a little under 800 were successfully harvested. And the majority of the failed acreage last year was caused by poor germination or emergence. And this is mostly due to the lack of moisture at the time of planting, or conversely, too much precipitation following planting. So a light to hard crust can certainly impact emergence of a hemp crop. In particular, if seed size is small, the seed just doesn't have enough power to get through that crust. On occasion, one occasion last year, there was a hail event that wiped out a few hundred acres in southwestern Kansas. And then last year, as you know, throughout all the years, weed pressure has continued to be an issue. So Rochelle was talking about how canopy cover is important because it helps establish that crop where you don't have weeds growing up through and causing competition. So acreage data, is all good and whatnot, just taking a look at it, surface value, but it really doesn't translate to yield. So yield information is more readily available through the National Hemp Reports. So NASS releases these reports, and they've released these, I believe, the last 3 years. Not sure if they'll release one for this year, but generally they get released early in the year for the following year. So I did have a typo on here because this should be the 2024 NASS report, but they had indicated hemp production in 2024 totaled 445 million, a 40% increase from last year, where production out in the field accounted for a majority of that total, so 417 million, and that was mostly driven by gains in the floral hemp, where hemp in protection, so floral hemp decreased, where it being grown outdoors increased. So overall hemp acreage production yields rose in 2024, indicating strong growth in the U.S. hemp sector, despite some declines in the protected, so greenhouse grown or high tunnel grown and fiber hemp markets. But, it's, kind of up and down each year. So not necessarily, decrease in fiber markets will that necessarily continue. So that was just what was reported for last year. So moving on from hemp growing, here in Kansas, hemp processing is regulated by the Office of the State Fire Marshal. Previously, in 2019 and 2020, the KDA had issued hemp processing licenses, but beginning in 2021, the Office of the State Fire Marshal took that over and registered any chemical or agricultural fiber processors. So information about hemp processing can be found on their website. We had Sarah talk about their location down in Augusta, Zach at Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, and then Melissa out in Great Bend, Kansas. So licensing of hemp processors and requirements certainly varies by state, where there's more conformity with hemp growing or hemp production. So with that, I will end my slides and thank Kelly and Sarah for hosting us today.
Excellent. Thank you, Braden. And thank you for sharing that in-depth look at the trends over time. And you're right. I mean, the program's been through a lot of changes, and it's going to be interesting to see how this expands out now that we are in the commercial space. So thank you again. Well, judging by the time here, it looks like we've reached the conclusion of the 6th annual Kansas Hemp Conference. Feel free to reach out to any of us with any further questions. And on behalf of the Kansas Hemp Consortium and Kansans for Hemp, I just want to offer our most sincere thanks. Thank you first to our speakers, Dr. Tim Dawsey, Braden Hogue, Rochelle Bowman, Melissa Nelson Baldwin, Zach Gill, Sarah Stevens-Selman. The depth of knowledge that has been shared today and what has gone into what you've shared from the regulatory environment and this groundbreaking work in regionally adapted genetics. What's continues, it's driving the industry forward. So I guess some of the key takeaways and maybe help the momentum going is one of the core messages, and that is that Kansas is leading the way in building a fully integrated industrial hemp supply chain that's focused on grain and fiber. We're no longer talking about hemp as a niche commodity. We're talking about it as a reliable, high value row crop rotation that benefits farm profitability and improves soil health. Kansas is very unique in that it has 3 operational processors that are dedicated to grain and fiber. This is the infrastructure that's supported by these pioneering genetics, the works of the Bowmans and others who have led the way. And this means that, market opportunities are going to continue to expand. We're talking about hempcrete, biocomposites, the domestic food supply. These are not just distant dreams. They are within reach, and they're actionable opportunities for the 2026 planting season. Work of growing this industry is definitely collaborative. Co-opetition is often talked about. It doesn't end when we log off today either. So the Kansas Hemp Consortium remains dedicated to providing data, research, and connections across supply chains. And then Kansans for Hemp, we will continue to advocate for policy and support that ensures a fair and sustainable regulatory environment for all producers and communities for that matter. So we encourage you to reach out to these speakers and processors who've shared their contact info today. Holler at me anytime, social media, use the research from Pitt State University's NEMA to guide decisions. We've got some best practice documents out there from the Kansas Hemp Consortium. So let's work together and secure Kansas's place at the heart of industrial hemp in the Midwest. And so finally, some logistics. As a reminder, the recording of today's entire conference will be sent out via email to all registrants. Please share that link on social media with anyone who may be interested in learning more about this transformative crop. So thank you again for your time and engagement, asking the questions. Your commitment to this vital agricultural sector is very important, and we look forward to seeing the results from the hard work next season. So this concludes the 6th annual Kansas Hemp Conference, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the day.
Thanks, Kelly. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.